In this video, I'm going to show you how to make strong rope from the wild stinging nettle plant, which can be found across the globe. Then we're going to turn that rope into mountain man style fire starters, and then into survival style all-weather fire starters. Let's begin. So you've probably seen a million videos of people teaching you how to make cordage out of this with the green fibers, but stinging nettle has what we call a bast fiber. That's a long, flexible fiber that runs up and down the plant. You see that there? And they're traditionally harvested when the plant is beginning to dry like this. Other plants that we use that have bast fibers are things you might know, like hemp and jute and flax, which of course makes linen. So now I'm going to show you a fairly traditional way of making incredibly strong rope from these bast fibers. So I'm just going to get a bunch of these stalks. So it all begins with a classic break and shake. You see the dried stalks break away from the flexible fibers fairly easily. So we're going to do our best to break up the stalk without hurting the fibers too much. And that's why we'll use a bit of wood to bash and smash as well. But look at that. You can see the fibers coming out really well there. It's actually very close to cotton. Very, very close, and feel the clothing is indistinguishable. So this is all the processing my patience will allow, but I have a good bundle here to start with. So now we need to turn this basically into yarn. So I'm going to choose a handful. See the different colors there from the different age. And I'm going to start stretching it and pulling it out here to get the thickness that I want for the rope. Once I have it pulled out to about the thickness I want, I'm going to go ahead, kind of dreadlock all the fibers together. So this just kind of mats all the fibers together. It's a real field expedient way to do it. Okay, I've got my processed sections of fiber all ready to turn in a rope. Hopefully this is enough lengthwise anyway. Now I'm going to weave this into rope using the classic reverse wrap technique, okay? So I've folded a long yarn over so there's no open end to start with, and what we're going to do is we're going to twist one way and wrap the other. We always twist the opposite direction from what we're going to wrap. So let me show you. We're always going to deal, just to make it easier, we're going to call this the outside, this the inside. We always deal with the outside, twist, twist, twist until you can't no more. And then wrap real tight. Adjust your grip, twist, twist. See, I twist this way, I wrap over this way. Twist, twist, wrap over really tight. Twist, twist, wrap over really tight. And I'm just going to go down this whole yarn doing this. Really strong twists, strong wraps. The better you twist it, the better you wrap it, the stronger this is going to be. Now, one of the great things about the reverse wrap is how easy it is to splice more material in. So I just overlap the last two pieces. See, I'm giving myself a few inches here on this area that we're going to splice so it can't pull apart. All I do is overlap, and now I just keep going. I do the same reverse wrap. And if there's any sticking out at the end, you don't like that, you can cut it right off. That's no big deal. These little pieces, remember, this is survival. To get this all out, you would need some kind of comb, and it'd take a long time. And in survival, we want to be able to do things at least a little bit quickly, right? So this way you can make the rope very quickly, and you're going to see it's going to be very, very strong. Always wrap extra tight, twist extra hard at the splice so it will sooner break before it will come out. And these fibers like this, these nettle fibers, they hold really well. See, I let go, it doesn't come unwrapped. I got this fat chunk here at the splice, right? But you know what? I don't care. It's no big deal. It's not for looks. And here is our rope. Now with those matted yarns and little bits, it's not as pretty as with the green fibers. The processing could take a little longer too, but it's still very, very strong, and you can get it when the green fibers aren't present, and I believe this is stronger than the green fibers. We're only going to need a few things to turn this section of rope into an all-weather survival fire starter. Mainly that's pine resin and beeswax. You can use one or the other or a mix of both. The beeswax does burn a little bit hotter, and that's why I like beeswax over paraffin as well. It does burn a couple of 100 degrees hotter. So I'm going to mix them about 50-50 in the pan and get started. I set this inside the larger cast iron to moderate the heat a bit. We don't want it to get too hot and flash into flame. That's another reason we want some baking soda or something like that nearby, because if it does catch on fire, never try and put it out with water. That will end very badly. All right, it is all liquid now. We're ready to dip. Now I'm just going to clip a section off here. Whatever length you want, whatever density you want for longer or shorter burn times. It's going to absorb a lot. You'll see when you try this, the fibers are very much like cotton, so they're very, very absorbent. And that's going to give this a nice long burn time. Now we'll just let this dry for a bit, and it'll be all ready to use out in the field. And of course, you could do this in the field as well. This is a little camp pan, no big deal. So I have a feeling this is going to burn for a very long time. It's so absorbent. It absorbs so much of the material, and it's so much heavier than it looks. I think this is going to burn for quite a while. Make a great fire starter. Stop. Here we go. Look at this. We're at 10 minutes and still plenty left to burn. Can't tell you enough how important a good flame length is when you're making fire in wet weather in the rain. It's really going to be helpful. All right, we're just about out here. It seems to be the last of the flame, and we've hit over 15 minutes. Look at that. 15-minute burn time. Burns anywhere between 1200 on the low end and 1600 degrees on the high end because of the beeswax and pine resin, fully waterproof. Now we're going to go ahead and make some mountain man style fire tinder out of it. We're going to make charred rope that's just like charred cloth to be used with flint and steel. So what we're going to do is we're going to carbonize this. We're going to blacken this rope. Now I'm using an Altoids can here. These are my favorite. They're really strong. If you're using a tin like this, be careful. Sometimes these will melt, but also if you're using a tin like this, you have to poke a hole in it. The Altoids can has hinges, so that'll take care of it. What we're doing here is called pyrolysis. We're taking the material and heating it up hot enough to become a gas. That gas escapes the hinges, and we're left with mostly carbon, which lights very easily. Now, if you're using a tin with a hole, you can keep it in the fire till the smoke stops coming out of the hole. If you're not, I just go about 15 minutes. So here is the end product, our charred rope. So of course this is used as tinder with the flint and steel. The small sparks from that get the char rope. The char rope lights the tinder bundle. So this is placed in your tinder bundle. And if you want to learn how to do fire steel step by step, char cloth step by step, even selecting rocks from the ground, selecting the striker, forming a full tinder bundle, all that. Check out my video on that. I'll link it to this video so you can learn the flint and steel. That's enough for now. Good stuff. Stinging nettle is one heck of a plant. If you want to learn more about stinging nettle, I have some other great videos on it on the site. I have a really good recipe for it, for cream of stinging nettles, actually, with a ribeye, because it's a complete protein. So check it out. Thanks for watching.